Hello, welcome to Grid Game 1, a two-player, web-based, no-luck, hex-field strategy game. It's a little bit like chess, just not 1,000 years old. Why do I say chess? Because as in chess, there is no luck. So, if two units move to the same field, only one could survive. The goal of the game is to score more points in 5 turns than your opponent. One turn has 3 phases: draft, deploy, combat move. So, let's start with looking at the draft phase. At the start of each draft phase, you get 1000 credits. And you can buy units from these 5 types: airborne, artillery, helicopter, infantry, or tank. They have different pros and cons. The con is mostly the cost. So let's just start and we buy a tank, an infantry, an helicopter, and an artillery. Both players do their drafting phase in parallel. So we wait for our opponent, but for now we are done. We click done. Oh, the opponent was already done. So we get right away into the deploy phase. In the deploy phase, one player at a time deploys a unit until all units from your hand and from the opponent's hands are on the board. We start. Infantry should go here. Now we'll wait for the opponent. He played an infantry right next to ours. So we play a tank here. Let's wait for the opponent. Another infantry next to our new tank. We will deploy the artillery here. It's always good to leave some range for the artillery. Opponent played a tank there, and our last unit, a helicopter, goes here. Now we need to wait until the opponent has deployed all his units, as we don't have any more. Done. So we are now in the combat move phase. The combat move phase is split into 3 rounds. In each round we can give units commands, then the commands are executed, and we can give another round of commands and a third round of commands. After setting the commands, we can see the commands of our opponent, and then the commands are executed. But we will see how that works in a second. There are 4 different commands. Move, and move could lead to an attack. Fortify, which is the default command and is mentioned with an F on the command. Support and bombard. Support is something we will look later. Bombard works destroying an enemy unit without moving, while moving can lead to a battle. That depends on if at the target field is a unit or not. And we'll just do it. So let's say this tank moves here, this infantry moves here, this helicopter does a bombard here, and this infantry bombards this infantry. Now we need to wait for the opponent to set his commands as well. As we are done, we hit the done button. As said, now we can review the commands we have given and the opponent has given. Also, the defeats and victories are listed on the top of the page. In a real game you would review this pretty closely. For now we just hit the done button and see how the computer calculates the result. Oh, a lot of units gone. Just 2 tanks from the opponent left, 1 tank for us and the artillery. Let's give commands for the second round. We'll destroy this tank and we move away. Let's wait for the opponent what he does. He tried to attack our tank here, but we move away, so no battle there. But we destroy this 1 tank. Let's hit done and see how it looks like. Now we can destroy the last tank and we proceed to the enemy cities with this tank. As 3 rounds have played in this combat move phase, we are in the next turn. This is turn 2, starting again with a draft phase, starting again with additional 1000 credits. I would like to have a closer look now on support, because support is pretty essential in actually winning and playing the game. And once again, it's not really about having many units or moving them somewhere around on the board. It's all about scoring. So as long as you score more points, you will win the game. Final note about the cities. If at the end of a turn you occupy an enemy city, you get additional 25 credits for that. For looking at how support works, I would like to buy just one airborne ranger, and that's it. And the opponent will just buy one unit as well. While the opponent unit gets there, the airborne ranger gets here. The airborne ranger is absolutely similar to the infantry, except that it can be deployed in the enemy territory. All your units can only be deployed on your side of the board, but the airborne rangers, they can go in the enemy territory, and in particular at an adjacent field to one of your own units. So that's the reason why I can deploy it here. So we're in turn 2 in the combat move phase again. And now I would like to show how support works. All units have a strength of 1, except for the artillery, which is 0, and the tank, which has 2. The outcome of a combat is determined by just comparing the strength. That means if a tank moves to the infantry and the infantry moves to a tank and they cross each other, the infantry has a strength of 1, tank has a strength of 2. That means the tank will survive, the infantry will die. Fortifying means getting +1 strength. Support also means getting +1 in strength. So let's look in detail how that works. We'll attack, we move to this infantry unit with this tank. Tank has 2, infantry has 1. But if the infantry doesn't move, it gets +1. That would mean the tank and the infantry gets killed if the infantry, and we don't really know that, but let's assume that for now, the infantry doesn't move. But we can give this airborne unit support on the tank. That means the tank now has a strength of 3, while even if the infantry fortifies, has only a strength of 2. The only chance for this infantry to survive could be to move away. We'll see what happens. Let's press done, but we could also move the infantry 1 field ahead. Done. Okay. We see that the enemy infantry did fortify. And now our tank wins against the infantry because, as I said, support gives +1, and that means we won this fight. Let's hit the done button and let's see how the computer resolves that, as I said. Good. As mentioned in the beginning, the game has 5 turns, so we would usually just keep going, drafting, deploying, battling. At the end, who has more points scored wins the game. That's Grid Game 1. I hope you enjoyed it, at least a little bit, and I really hope that you create your own game and do it here on my page. Thank you.